Hi there, folks. I'm often asked on this channel why we don't cover converted cars that were once petrol or diesel and have then been converted to electric by either their owners or by a third-party conversion company. And I haven't really had a whole lot of good reasons why we haven't, other than to record with a car is much more time-consuming and much more costly than recording here in the studio. But when I went back to the UK earlier this year for Fully Charged Live and also to see my sister, who was in her final moments of life with terminal cancer, I was able to record this video with a wonderful, wonderful converted Morris Minor built by Matthew Quitter in London. And so I recorded this short test drive with him. I had a fantastic time, and I've wanted to share this video with you all for, well, ever since I filmed it. However, when I went back to the UK, because of everything that was going on in my personal life, because of how busy I was with Fully Charged Live and everything else, I did forget to take some of my usual audio recording equipment with me to London. And so what follows is a video that was recorded, and the audio from the video was actually produced by the GoPro cameras strapped into the car, so it's a little bit noisy, a little bit rumbly. We've done our best to clean the audio up, but some of you will notice that there are some audio artifacts. Some of you will notice that it's not as clear as it normally would be, but I think the video itself is still worth seeing, which is why I'm here to explain all of that before handing over to myself from the past and one of my favourite all-time classic cars converted to electric. So unlike my usual Transport Evolved review videos where I drive a car and talk about it and there's nobody else in the car, I've got Matthew Quitter from London Electric Cars with me.
Hello.
This is your baby.
This is my baby.
And it's an electric car without compromise. Yeah. I mean, it's the world's supreme electric car.
Well, I think we're in agreement. Yeah.
You know, to use the original advertising slogan, it was the world's supreme small car.
Yeah.
And I think this is the world's supreme electric car, or perhaps the world's supreme small electric car.
Perfect.
So tell me about this car.
So this is a 1953 Series 2 Morris Minor. We converted it to electric using second-hand parts. So all the parts in it are about 8 years old. So it's fairly old tech, as you've noticed.
Yeah.
But the reason we've done that is because we're trying to figure out ways of bringing down the cost of electric car conversions. Mm-hmm. And one of the ways of doing that is to use second-hand parts.
So Matthew, tell us how you came about to build an electric Morris Minor, because a lot of people have thought about it over the years.
Yeah.
Very few have done it.
Yeah, there's a couple of them around the world they're starting to come out of the woodwork now. Sort of wider populations interested in them. So we were looking for something to convert as a sort of city run around. We were inspired by sort of the electric and the guys out in California. So our original thought was to do a Beetle.
This is much better.
Yeah, exactly. We then, partly with what was available to us in terms of affordable electric car equipment and performance expectations, and then equally the fact that being in Britain, and I have a greater familiarity with British cars than I do, say, German ones.
Right.
Led me to the Morris Minor, which was just a wonderfully fortuitous just moment of luck, I suppose. Because in fact, the Morris Minor has been the perfect car for us to do in terms of the attention.
My first car out of university. I say my first car. I had a company car, which I don't count as being my first car. It was
it wasn't.
It was a Vauxhall Corsa, but the first car I ever bought was my 1965 Morris Minor, and she was called Hebe.
Oh, cool. This one's called Oswald.
Oswald, what a great name. And for those who don't know, all Morris Minors have a name. It's kind of part of the unwritten rule of owning a Morris Minor. And she started to get a little bit sickly, and so I decided to convert her to electric. This was way back in 2004, 2005. I stripped her down with good intentions to convert her to electric, and unfortunately she was so rusty and in such a bad state of affairs that I wasn't able to get her
It's too far gone.
Yeah, she was too far gone, and I couldn't afford it. I unfortunately had to scrap her. But ever since then, I've wanted to convert a Morris Minor to electric, and I drive Kate's whenever I get a chance.
Sure.
Hers is off the
They're
road at the
wonderful
moment.
cars.
They are absolutely wonderful. So you're not a mechanic or an engineer by training, are you?
No. I mean, well, my past is long and varied. I did a bit of mechanical engineering at university. I did a bit of physics, A levels at school.
Yep.
I did architecture when I graduated for a tiny bit, and then I was a composer. But obviously this is a common question, and what I'd say is electric cars aren't complicated.
No.
What they are is they're slightly new, and the terminology around them is alien to the average car person. So the kilowatt hour means nothing to the average car.
Right.
And just the noises and the way they function are alien, unfamiliar tech. So part of what we're trying to do is just say to people, look, this is stuff that is accessible. It's not, the idea that you can, if you're comfortable taking the petrol motor out of a Morris Minor, I firmly believe that you'd be comfortable putting an electric motor in. But with cars, you normally have guys who are like, I fix engines, I don't do the electronics, which personally I've never really understood. It's all part of the same kettle of fish.
Right.
So part of what I'm hoping to do is by having a garage and it be next to other guys' garages who work with petrol cars, is to show them this isn't that alien. And to be honest, over the last couple of years, with me doing that's what's happened. When I first received all the electric car parts, and I first put a charge on and stuff like that, things were humming and whirring, and guys would stand a good foot outside the garage and sort of lean in very gingerly and be like, what are you doing? What is all this? Equally, guys who would normally stick their head right in your engine bay and be like, oh, you need to paint that, and oh, that's a bit rusty and you haven't got that set up right. You open up an electric car engine bay, and again, they won't stick their head in there. They're scared of it, and there's no particular reason to be, except for lack of familiarity.
And that's great, isn't it? How the reaction is. But once they drive them, I think a lot of them are converted, aren't they?
Absolutely, and once they've been around it for a week or so, then it all goes. And once you start to explain, you're right though. To be honest, most people get into cars first for the driving experience. And what I'd like to say to people these days is electric cars are fast. And you've got a car like this, which has got a 30 horsepower motor in it. It's got 100 foot-pounds of torque. That's 3 times what the original car had.
Yeah, I was going to say. So this original car is 1953. Series 2 Morris Minor. If you're a Morris Minor aficionado, the 850cc overhead engine, or side valve engine, that's right, that's it. And also the weird gearbox, the smooth gearbox with the knitting needle handle. This has a 1098 gearbox on it with a different gear lever, which is why I'm sort of not quite familiar with where the gears are. It does remind me very much of both of my Morris Minors that I've had. And the thing that I love about this, you're talking about noises and sounds, and how with an electric vehicle they're very different. But actually, I've noticed driving this that it's still got that wonderful second gear whine, third gear whine, and there's still the differential whine that you get. And I could be driving a petrol Morris Minor right now, save for the fact that I don't get that little fart every time when I train to change gear. It's remarkably similar to the original.
That's keeping the gearbox and the clutch is I think the real secret to maintaining the feel. As soon as you start to go direct drive, you really take away the essence. I mean, you still grease the trunnions once a month. And then if you don't grease the trunnions, then they start to,
do weird things.
There's still 1950s parts that are worn out. And if you want to, if you want to continue to restore the car, then that's available to you. We talked about the indicator not working unless you jiggle it a little bit. I'm waiting to receive the chrome surround for the windscreens coming from the States.
People will hear me driving, and I'm going through the gearbox like I would with a conventional Morris Minor. I'm not touching first. I did for a little bit, but first, because of the torque, because of the way that the electric motor is set up, you really don't need to use first, which is fine because there's no synchro on first.
Yes, exactly.
In these old boxes. So starting second, and you say you normally go second to fourth.
It depends on the traffic. So if we were in what I'd call stop-go, quite aggressive city traffic, I would stay in second because that gives me all the acceleration, but also the regen braking, so that you get the car, which is again is a revelation for a 1950s car, can more than adequately keep up with city traffic. You can be aggressive if you want to be.
Yeah, and the Series 2s were never known for their perkiness. The 1098s were quite good. The later,
they're getting a little bit faster. But it used to be 0 to 60 eventually. Kind of thing. And, whereas, to be honest, this won't actually get up to 60 miles an hour because it maxes out about 55. We're not wearing seatbelts at the moment because being a 1950s car, we don't have to wear them.
Right.
So anything over 40 miles an hour is frankly petrifying.
Yes.
But certainly I'd say 0 to 30, it is noticeably fast.
Yes, I noticed it.
So I'll leave it in second gear to if I've got taxi drivers being aggressive behind me and the traffic is moving in that sort of London way where if you don't push ahead then you're just going to get left behind, then second gear it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. If the road's empty out a bit and I just want to cruise, then put it into fourth, the gearbox noise disappears. You get less regen.
So let's talk about regen for a second. There are people watching this who understand what regen braking is, and they'll be looking at this going, but this is a conversion. Conversions don't have regenerative braking. And 10 years ago that was the case. But not anymore because we've now got AC motors, right?
Yes, and I think it's really to do with the price points. And I guess HPVS probably get a lot of credit for this, for really bringing down the price of the AC motors, and equally Curtis with their controllers. Now you can get a Net Gain Hyper 9 for incredibly reasonable prices, which is an AC motor, and it's got wonderful power figures. But if we're doing a cheaper conversion, so we've got one that we're trying to do for an MGB GT at the moment, where we're trying to get it on the road for well under £10,000. That will end up being an EC motor because it's so much cheaper. So regen braking is a function of AC motors. You can do it with DC motors, but you need to pay for your electronics to pull it off. But it's effectively the equivalent of old-fashioned engine braking.
I mean, it feels very much like engine braking in second, and the only thing missing, honestly, is that little as you go through the.
I can do that for you.
Yes.
Here we go.
So let's talk specs, because that's one of the things that people want to know. And I think it's clear at this point to state that you never designed this vehicle as a conversion to be a long-distance vehicle.
No. There's certain reasons for that. One is cost. This was our prototype, and we just didn't have a lot of money to play with. The second is the package. When we weren't certain exactly how many kilowatt hours the car could take, and equally we don't want to have to start upgrading suspension. We don't want to do anything too radical to the body shell, so that we get accused of historical vandalism. So there's a bunch of it. But equally, being a city car, and that's I'm based in London. The company's based in London. One of the things we're trying to address is the pollution problems in London.
Right.
And one of the reasons that pollution is such a problem is because people drive combustion engines. Everyone appreciates that, I say everyone, a lot of people appreciate now that certainly in large urban centres we're going to have to drive electric cars. It's just untenable. We're driving down here, just a massive row of traffic. We're doing 20 miles an hour, and this is actually quite fast for London. But so I mean, all the roads outside London now have average speed cameras.
Right.
So you have to drive about 40 miles before you can actually even travel over 50 miles an hour.
Right, yeah, that's true.
So I recently took this on the M40 out to Greenford, and it's 40 miles an hour on automatic speed cameras until just before Greenford, and then it turns 50 for a bit. This car can do 50 no problem.
Wow.
And obviously you can't do over 50 because that'd be breaking speed limit.
And I'm guessing you could change the gearing and make it go a little bit faster if you wanted to.
Yes, you can swap out the rear diff. You can change the gearing on that, and obviously you could up the voltage of the controller, up the voltage size of the motor. So the car itself will go faster. It's more a function of the package that we installed.
And it's the wonderful things that wonderful things that remind you you're driving an old car. I just put my foot on the clutch, and because I had my foot on the brake as well, the clutch stuck because it's on the same shaft. They're in between one another.
Yeah, exactly.
60-plus-year-old car that is running on all electric, but it's not just running on electric power. It's running on recycled electric power, and I don't mean renewable electricity.
Actually, it's also on renewable electricity.
It's also renewable electricity.
Yeah. My electrical supplier is renewable.
Oh, fantastic!
Someone called Bulb, who are actually great. Who've done some nice videos.
So also, you're using recycled batteries. So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. So they came out of an old Citroen C1 that was converted by a company called the Electric Car Company in the late 2000s.
I have a very bad experience with those cars. I test drove one, and this is the best thing I've that's ever come out of it.
They were just classic example of I just don't know what was going on. It's almost like no one ever actually got into those Citroens and drove them before trying to sell them. There were so many fundamental problems with them.
The batteries are recycled. The motor is off the shelf.
But again, it came out of the. So again, that's also 10 years old. So
it's the same motor that was being used in the Citroen C1 EV.
Electric motors, and this is what I say to all my customers, is the electric motor that you buy will outlive you. The motor doesn't wear out. The controller doesn't wear out. The controller might wear out a little bit quicker than the motor, depending upon how well you look after it, that kind of thing. And the battery is the only thing that really degrade over time. And I think what a lot of people are discovering is certain batteries, certain chemistries, again, if they're well looked after, just don't degrade the way we thought they might do. And certainly, if you're doing low, I'd say low power. We don't accelerate particularly heavily in London. We don't go particularly fast. Then second life batteries are an excellent option. All the conversions we're doing at the moment are using second life batteries.
Wow,
varying years.
That's insane.
Yeah.
This guy behind, I think he was trying to figure out what the noise was.
Oh, really?
Because there is an electric noise. There is a slight electric.
It's a lot noisier in the car than it is outside.
Yes.
Because of the old minor cabin. Reverberates everything like little sound blocks.
So I never thought I'd be in central London driving. We're coming up to the Houses of Parliament, and it's just wonderful to feel. I mean, it doesn't feel any different. I still can't get over this. Still doesn't feel any different. All right, so let's talk costs, because everybody and their dog who wants to convert an electric car talks about how expensive it is.
It's the biggest hurdle.
So what kind of costs are we looking at to do a conversion? I mean, what's your goal cost?
I think the target, for everyone is to get it down around $5,000. Everyone that I speak to, obviously the first question I always get asked is how much does it cost, and the instant response to that is it depends. Unfortunately, depends how far and how fast you want to go.
Yeah.
I can do an entire conversion of a 60 mile an hour car for getting close to $12,000. The goal is to get them down around $5,000. I think if we can do that. I think at the moment, realistically, most of my customers are budgeting around $15,000 for a conversion. We'll do between 60 to 80 miles an hour and about 60 to 80 miles and about 80 to 100 miles an hour.
Right.
Massively depends on the car. And it also depends on the driving situation. So Land Rovers, which is a very common people have asked me to convert, I've had them getting up to 590 watts per mile. Which means you're sort of talking huge battery packs. But that's if you're doing high-speed motorway journeys, which the Land Rover is a disaster. Ford equipment.
Yes,
You know.
because it's got the aerodynamic qualities of a brick.
Exactly.
In fact, it is a brick.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just got wheels on the bottom.
Moving brick, exactly.
The other thing that that obviously is worth noting here is that because of that amount of space in the engine bay, because the car is quite big under the front, you've got an incredible amount of space in
Absolutely.
there. So you've got batteries up front.
I've got batteries up front, so I've got 9 cells in the front, 160 amp hour Thunder Skies at the front, and another 16 where the petrol tank used to be.
Yeah, and the petrol tank, for those who don't know in the Morris Minor, the petrol tank kind of sits underneath the floor.
Yeah, so under the
And there's kind of like there's kind of like 2 sections to the floor in the Morris Minor. The lower section is where you store the spare wheel. Can you still get a spare wheel in there, or
no,
is
you
that
can't. No,
you've lost that?
Yeah, well, technically, what I could do is put it under the bonnet, which is quite a common in the big bowl.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I didn't carry a spare tire.
But you don't really need it in London.
Yeah, I've never had a touch wood. I've never had a problem. I've never blown a tire, so.
And you don't have to worry about any of the things that I used to have to worry about with my Morris Minor, which was things like making sure that the valve clearances are correct.
Yeah,
and
is the fuel pump going to work for me?
Is the fuel pump going to work? And more importantly, when is the next service? Because obviously you have to service them so regularly.
Yeah.
And you got through so many parts for the for the engine and whatnot. So presumably you follow the standard servicing recommendations for this as you would a petrol Morris Minor for everything else.
Yes. So prop shaft, steering rack, trunnions, handbrake cable.
Diff oil every
exactly.
50,000 miles or something.
Absolutely, and that's half the fun. I grumble about having to occasionally the trunnion start getting a little bit clanky, so I'm like, oh, got to do that.
You've got to grease your nipples.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure, Nikki.
Thank you very much. And just give us everyone the website so they can find
LondonElectricCars.com.
LondonElectricCars.com.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've got a Tesla waiting back at your workshop, and I'm tempted just to keep this instead.
Let's do a trade.
Matthew, thanks very much.
My
All the
absolute
best.
pleasure.
Cheers.
Do you want to pop the bonnet? You know where it is.
It's down here
still
somewhere.
where it was.
Oh, it's down here, a little pull. There we go. There we go. Well, there we go. If you want an electric Morris Minor, come talk to Matthew. See you soon.